Hi, I'm Ray.
And I'm Jay. And if you're watching this, we're already dead.
Yeah, they're dead inside. Anyway, so we earlier did our BAM box, but we did something very important tonight, and that was watch Get Out.
We saw Get Out.
Non-spoilery review. It was perfect, and you should go see it. Spoilers start now. Okay, so in case somebody has been living under a rock, Get Out is basically about a black man named Chris. I was trying to think of his last name. Chris Washington. I was excited about that. But Chris Washington, who is going with his white girlfriend. He's a black man. He's going with his white girlfriend to meet her family. And it sounds completely mundane and everything, well, and that's part of its charm.
Well, I assume that it's a deliberate play on Guess Who's Coming to Dinner.
I never saw that, so quite possibly it could be, yeah. But, like, seriously, we saw it, like, we just finished watching it, like, maybe 15 or 20 minutes ago. And I'm still, like, in that euphoric, oh my god, what a good movie place, I think.
It was a good movie. Jill wants you to go watch it.
And not only was it a good movie, but it was also a good horror movie. I mean, they really used all of the microaggressions that POC experience as just like really good.
Like really from the very beginning. Like literally the actual very beginning. It was just nonstop racial discomfort. And honestly, which we saw coming, just from the trailer.
Yeah.
And honestly, for that reason, I was really kind of hesitant to watch it because that makes me really uncomfortable. But that's the whole goddamn point.
Yeah, and so I was not, because I was ready to be uncomfortable, and they delivered. I was cringing in horrible secondhand embarrassment. All these stupid white people saying horribly racist things. That's the point of the movie. That's the stuff that he experiences. And it was just so well done. And then you actually add on to like the horror element of it, which is, I don't know, I feel like it's sort of a little hand-wavy, which, whatever, but basically...
They got there. I was expecting hand-waving, but they got there. It was just a literal brain transplant.
Right.
Like, I was expecting something a little more sci-fi, or maybe even a little supernatural, but it ended up being just a straight brain transplant.
Right. And so, the whole point of this movie is that the people in this family are transplanting the brains of their old white people into younger black people.
Yep. And so Chris comes into this community out in the middle of nowhere full of rich old white people. And just, even if everything was normal, that would still be a super horrible, uncomfortable situation.
And
but the
you
few...
can tell, I mean, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, the few black people who were in that situation were all like the servants, who were all acting creepy. And then... there was like one black guy who was like randomly in a couple with this like 70-year-old white woman, and he was like 20s, maybe 30s.
But he was dressing like he was a man in his 70s.
Oh yeah, he was dressed like
creepy.
He was dressed like an old white man. He was talking about old white man things. It was just really.
And I agree with you. I don't think anybody in our audience. We had a very vocal, screamy audience, by the way.
We had a really fun audience.
Yeah.
It's Saturday night. And it's a new movie, and so we had a really good,
great audience,
fun horror movie audience, but they did not know what was going on. They understood
what the hell was going on, which was old white people being transplanted into.
And it was pretty clear.
Like, it was. Yeah.
Like, it was pretty clear from pretty early in the movie.
Yeah. And the two servants, we see a total of like 5 black people, I think, in the movie. We have Chris and his friend, whose name I forget, but his friend is awesome and funny and clever. He's super cool. Then, of course, there's Chris, and then there is the groundskeeper, whose name I don't know.
And then there's
Georgina. And then there was the man who was in the relationship with like the 70-year-old woman.
Yeah.
And I think those are... Logan. Well, there were some police officers because Chris's friend is a TSA agent and he was trying to get the police to help.
Yeah, you're right.
So we had 3 more POC, which, I mean, it's great. Like, they are everywhere else except for this insulated, white, creepy, fucking weird world, which I thought was really incredible. Like, way to go. But, like, I don't know, I just have so many feelings. Georgina was played by a woman named Betty Gabriel.
That was a really amazing performance.
She was so amazing and nuanced.
I mean, there was just 100% good acting in the movie. I didn't see any acting that I had a problem with, but her performance especially was really subtle and
terrifying and beautiful.
Really off-putting and stunning.
Like, I will be watching for Betty Gabriel.
Yeah, for sure.
For whatever else she does.
Good stuff.
It was just so good. And so the one thing that I really noticed is there is actually two things. One is Chris's reaction to being put into this world unsuspected, because he thinks he's just there to meet his girlfriend's like immediate family, her brother and her parents, and it turns out to be like this whole extended family gathering.
No, not family. That was all
just random people.
They were friends of. Okay. Well, we don't know who they were.
Friends and family.
We don't know who they really were, but they were presented as friends of the dead grandfather.
Right. Yeah.
But who they really were like people joining in on this auction. Oh God! And the slave auction thing was just.
Oh my God!
Oh man!
They're all like, let's have drinks and play bingo, and you're like, lol, because of course old white people are gonna play bingo. That's just the thing. But the bingo was like the slave auction for who was going to take over Chris's body.
Yeah.
I'm like, what the hell? It was so creepy, and it was a silent auction, and they were raising their bingo cards, and we were like, that's not how bingo's played. And then we were like, wait, what the fuck? Like, seriously, it's so creepy and so good.
Yeah. This movie did not fuck around.
No, and it is almost like perfect. You really need to see it. Even if you didn't think you wanted to see it, you need to go see it if you like horror movies, period. I'm just going to say it like flat out like that. But also, okay, so the thing I wanted to talk about before we got derailed by the silent auction was how Chris just absorbed all of the microaggressions and just shut down and was all like, it's cool. Like convincing himself that it was cool because this was stuff he'd experienced all the time and he always had to be cool.
And he 100% knew to expect before he even left the city. Yeah. He was like, this is gonna happen. The girlfriend was like, no, it's gonna be fine.
My parents are great. My parents are liberals. And then like the first freaking thing that comes out of their mouth is like, thang. So how long has this thang been going on? I'm like, dude, don't do that. And then he's all like, I would have voted for Obama for a 3rd time. And I was like, I want to die of mortification. Because I know people like that.
I would have voted for Obama for a 3rd time. Oh, but also
this is my soul escaping from my body.
But I also am going to perform a brain transplant on you, so...
On me?
On you.
Why me? I don't have any natural advantages. Speaking of, they were choosing black people because of their natural advantages. And, like, they were creeping on Chris and touching on him and, like, talking about how he was bestial and, like, just every single racist thing that you could think of to say or do around him, they were doing it to such good effect. Like, it was obviously on purpose. This was from a black creator. They know what they're talking about. They know what they're doing. Like Jay said earlier, they do not pull punches.
It was gross.
It was gross and also, like...
So good.
So true. And ultimately, that brings me to my second point, which is he kind of connects vaguely to one person at the party, and it's this blind art dealer.
Who was played by Stephen Root, the only actor's name I recognized in the credits.
I actually recognized Caleb Landry Jones because he played Banshee in X-Men, and he played the girlfriend's brother, Rose's brother.
Oh, is that who that guy was?
Yeah, that's Stevie Ass.
That's that guy?
That's that guy.
Oh god, he was so gross.
Right? Good actor. Oh,
wow. Okay. I just gotta say, this was a tiny little touch, but I love that piece of shit white asshole kid had a lacrosse stick. And lacrosse, you know, being co-opted from the Native Americans is like such the classic white bullshit sport. Oh my god. Really hilarious touch to have that be a lacrosse stick. Anyway, go on.
And so while the art dealer, whose name I don't know, and Chris were talking, say Steve. I'm gonna call him Steve. They were talking in peace and quiet, and he's blind.
Was it Mike? It might have been Mike.
Mike? I don't know. I'm gonna call him Steve.
I think it was Mike.
We will find that out and put it in the...
I think it was Mike.
Yeah, in the description. But they were talking about how he has his... the art dealer has his assistant describe Chris's work, because Chris is a photographer, and he is... And this art dealer has purchased Chris's work before. And they were talking about how he sees the world and what he brings to his work. And then he's like, well, I wasn't really that great of a photographer, and then I went blind, so blah. But at the end of it, the whole brain transplant is like a quarter hypnosis, and then 70, like 3/4 brain surgery. Like, it's weird. But they have this communication where Chris is tied up in a chair, and his donor, his brain acceptor or whatever, the person who's going to take over his body is talking to him through a camera. And he's saying, I want you for your eyes. I want you for the way that you see the world. And that was such like a perfect description of appropriation. Like, it's not enough to take your body. I also want to take the way you see and experience the world and make it mine.
Like, it's really... It was a step even grosser than the other old white people, because he was not just wanting this young, strong body. He was also wanting, like, the identity of artist from this black man's...
Yes, it was so, like, understated, and just... You just absorbed it kind of silently. Like he just wanted... He didn't even say, I want your eye. He said, I want your eye. Like, singular. I want the way that you see the world. And it just struck me, and I wanted to die. And then, at the end, we get a whole bunch of awesome revenge. And he lives. Which makes me so happy.
I know I referred to the ending as revenge porn. And there's an aspect of that, which is... extremely gratifying, I'm not gonna lie.
Seriously, like, every time a white person bought it, everyone in the theater cheered. The white people, the black people, everybody was like, yes, give it to them. Like, give them what they deserve.
With that in mind, though, it really, although it was extremely gratifying, it really didn't feel that revengey. He was just trying to get out alive. Yeah. And a lot of times it really is legit revenge, and this is not vengeance. It's just him trying to get out alive.
He was exhausted, and he wanted to get out and go home.
Yeah.
And see his dog.
His dog and his friend.
He just wanted to see his dog and his friend, and he wanted to nope out.
And black people who have not been taken over by old white people. Oh, I almost spilled my popcorn.
Also, we have popcorn. That's awesome.
What else?
Caleb Landry Jones plays this really skeevy medical student who is following in his father's footsteps of being a neurosurgeon. I'm assuming to continue the process, further on down the line and stuff like that. But
did he say he was a med student? Okay.
Yeah. And Chris was so sweet. And, like, legitimately, like gentle. He was just a good person.
I really liked the character.
He was so good. Like, I wanted to just hug him and, like, take him out for a beer or something. Because he was so chill and he was so cool. And he really loved his girlfriend. Which brings us to the twist of the movie.
I gotta say, at some point it became really clear. Well, we had suspected for a long time that she was involved somehow or other. Yeah. And then it was made explicit because we saw a picture. Earlier it was set up that he was the first black guy she ever dated. And then, at some point in the movie, he finds some pictures of her with other black people.
At that point...
well, not just other black people, but the other black people who have been taken over.
He had, weird suspicions about what was going on. He just wanted to leave.
Yeah.
And then, while he was getting his stuff to go, he found pictures in a box.
But anyway, my point was going to be that it was unclear to me, at least, whether I actually thought she had been hypnotized. I didn't think she was a voluntary participant for a long time.
Until she pulled out the keys?
I thought she had really been hypnotized as well.
She'd forget the other people she brought home.
Absolutely. I totally thought that they waymeed her because she wasn't really voluntarily doing it. And so when the other people in the audience were like, no, that's bullshit, she's lying, I was like, no, I think she's hypnotized. And I was 100% fucking wrong. Which you know, because you've already seen the movie, I hope, because so many spoilers.
Yeah. Hopefully you have seen the movie past the last, 15 minutes we've been talking about it. Because you deserve to see this movie, and this movie deserves to be seen.
Yeah, it really does. I think the movie should be seen. And all the really interesting racial aspects aside, and the really good, well-delivered points. Mm-hmm. It was also, I think, the best horror movie I've seen in kind of a long time.
Long. Oh my god.
I'm trying to even think what lives up recently. And nothing comes to mind.
And, the cast was so good at just being creepy.
Really good performances.
There's nothing supernatural about it. The groundskeeper was just weird as fuck. And really, Georgina. Georgina,
God,
Betty Gabriel
stole the show.
The creepiness happen.
I also really, although she really stole the show, no question. The girlfriend's mother actually delivered a really good, subtle performance.
She really did.
She didn't have any big set piece moments, but that was a good, subtle performance.
She was very much an underlying.
She was a really strong
thing.
It was a strong performance, is what it was. But no yelling, no big physical moments.
Yeah, she never even raised her voice.
Yeah, she was just a really strong character and a really strong performance. Mm-hmm.
But seriously, the movie is so good. So good, guys. For real. And
one thing that normally bugs me is really overt comic relief. Usually that really annoys me. And there was some really overt comic relief in this movie, but God, I needed it.
And one thing another thing, yet again, that I loved about Chris, is every time something happened, he would just be like, what the fuck? He just to himself, what the fuck? What the fuck did I get into? What the fuck is this? What the fuck is that?
And not just him, but the guy at the very beginning, too. Very often the people, no, not very...
It's like a cold open before the actual movie, right? He's walking through a neighborhood, and then a car drives past him, and he's just chill, and then the car U-turns to follow him, and he's like, nope, not going there.
Really, the people of color in the movie who were not whammied and not old white people in disguise just constantly were giving or saying what the audience was thinking. And it was really, it just felt good. It was refreshing, it felt good.
Yeah.
And sometimes it was funny, and sometimes it was just, relatable. Yeah, it was really...
Yeah, it was one of those things where it didn't feel forced or unnatural. It just felt like, oh, thank God, finally, here's a character saying what I'm thinking in the movie.
Something reasonable for once in a horror movie. Wow.
And it was so good. And seriously, every time one of them was like, what the shit is this? I was like,
what the fuck is that?
Hell is that? What is going on here? And it just felt so good. And to have this person who is in this situation seeing what I was seeing and not just being written as dumber because they're in a horror movie and they can't be smart enough to know what's going on.
Okay, so we're at 20 minutes. Any other big points that you want to hit?
Not really.
I think we hit all the big things that I wanted to discuss.
Mostly, I just love Chris, and he has a tragic backstory, and I love him, and...
The hypnotism was done really well.
Yeah. It was kind of low-key. Even though, I mean, you totally know that she's doing it when she's doing it.
Oh, yeah. As soon
and you're all like, no, honey.
As soon as... Okay, so, we see a couple of the, black servants acting real creepy, and then as soon as we learn that the mother does hypnotism, it's like, oh, well, there it is. Mm-hmm. It ended up going deeper than that, of course, but, as soon as we know she's a hypnotist, it's like, okay. Well, that's what this movie is.
Yeah.
Oh, God, it was good. So,
good.
We hit our big points. I I'm gonna give this movie a solid A.
Oh yeah, A, definitely, all the way.
Good shit. Watch the movie.
Yeah, I like that good shit meme. A+. Good shit.
Sign me the fuck up.
Sign me up. I will be buying that movie and watching it on Netflix. And
I don't know about all that. Do I want to watch it more times?
I probably won't watch it like 8 times in a row or anything.
Listen, I'm glad I watched it, and I want everyone else to watch it, but am I going to watch it a bunch of times? I don't know about that.
Well, they can do whatever they want. I'm going to buy that movie and watch it at reasonable intervals over the course of my life, I'm sure.
Okay. Well, thank you for watching our review. If you have your own comments, please let us know, because we like to talk about that.
If you've seen the movie, or if you have any other questions about it, like, hit us up in the comments. Like, we want to talk about this movie.
We like talking about horror movies.
Yeah.
Alright, so, thanks for watching, and if you want to like and subscribe, that's cool, but whatever.
And go see this movie.
And watch the movie. It's called Get Out, and it's good, and you should watch it. Bye!
Bye! You missed the camera. There we go.